give yourself a pat on the back. You are in the last video for this module. This is booting up BigQuery. This is going to be the first time that we're going to start actually opening up the tool and getting started. So let's boot it on up. And just keeping track with our outline, you've already completed video 1 in this module, which is BigQuery formatting, writing a note, and then this is the last video that will wrap up this module, and we're going to actually get your BigQuery account started. In this lesson, we're going to get started on actually booting up BigQuery, creating your account, and getting started. One of the hardest parts in coding, and I say this with sincerity, is actually getting the tool open. Once you're able to open and load data into a coding program, you're really about half of the way there. The rest of it, you can kind of Google your way into figuring it out. So if you hit some hiccups or bumps along the way, it's really easy to get frustrated, but just pause the video, rewatch it a few times, and I also will have a supplemental troubleshooting video in case you hit in case things don't go as smoothly as they do for me. The first and most important thing is that you should be on a Google Chrome browser. You can use other browsers, but since we're using all of these Google Suite items, if you use Chrome, it's going to make it a lot smoother for you. So the first thing you need to do is get your free Gmail or Google account. I have the link here, and this is also in the video description, so you can just click it and sign up for that. Once you have your Google account, the next step is to sign into Google BigQuery. And I have the link here too. Once you click the link, if you're signed in with your Chrome browser and your Google account, either your new one or the existing one you already have, it should begin prompting you, signing you up for your account. You might see some things about billing. At the time of making this video, Google BigQuery does not require to put a credit card on file. Even if it does, don't worry, BigQuery still provides a free monthly amount of data that you can use, and that monthly amount will be enough to get through this 30-day Kickstarter. And we'll also go over how the billing works, just in case you want to purchase data and do a little more practice. Let's do a high-level overview of the Google BigQuery interface. When you open up your Google BigQuery, it's going to look something like this. And you're going to have a couple different panes. This pane here, this big white space, this is where you write your code or your queries. And you'll see that it has this thing called editor. It might be called untitled. And if you want to add additional tabs, you can click this plus button right next to it. The next pane that we have is on this left-hand side. And you'll see this thing that says Explorer, and then you'll see this thing that says Add Data, Type Search, and then right here, this is where the data lives. And so when we open up our data, we'll be able to see all the different tables that we have access to in Google BigQuery. And I'll do a live demo showing you where all of that is. So I promised you that I'd give you a 411 on billing, so let me go ahead and do that now. Google BigQuery charges you for every query you write. So writing a query, pulling data costs money, and Google BigQuery will charge you for that. The bigger of the amount of data you pull, the more expensive the query is. Google BigQuery has both a free and a paid account version. The free version gives you a certain amount of data that you can pull for no cost. So let's just say it says, oh, you can pull up to 1 gigabyte of data. Anything that you pull below that threshold is going to be free. Anything above it, they're going to charge you. So you get 1 terabyte of data free per month. A terabyte is a lot of data. What we're going to be doing in this class is just poking around in BigQuery and just learning the syntax. If you wanted to do a full-on analysis project, you might exceed the 1 terabyte of data, and that might be at a point where you're like, okay, I think it might be worth it for me to invest a couple of dollars to purchase more data so that I can have a nice project for my portfolio. So if you want more than that terabyte, then you can pay for that. And something that's very important to me in this course and everything we do in Couch to Coders is making it very financially accessible. So I'm going to show you tips and tricks on how to write your queries so that you're not accidentally pulling a ton of data all at once. And I'll make sure that that 1 terabyte of data will get you through this 30-day Kickstarter. No problem. At the time of signing up for this in 2023, new users also got $300 worth of data in addition to their free terabyte of data. So that is a ton of data. So even if you're like, I want to go do something crazy, you have the opportunity to do that. The $300 is really great if you wanted to do practice outside of the 30-day Kickstarter, or if you wanted to do your own data project and get practice. One of the things that I mentioned at the beginning of this video is that the hardest part in coding is getting set up. The other SQL options can be really tricky to get loaded up and started on your computer if you're not already a computer whiz. So Google BigQuery gives you a really easy way to get started, which I like, and then you also have those free data sets that you can use. That said, once you're done with this course, if you want to, you're like, I learned the basics, but I don't want to deal with any possibility of getting billed for anything. I want to do something totally different. You can definitely do the other free SQL options, but just keep in mind that you're going to have to do the legwork of getting it started on your computer. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and open up the Google BigQuery interface and walk you through the different components that we've already looked at. When you open up your BigQuery interface, it's going to look something like this. The first thing that you'll see is you'll notice that in the snip that I had in the slides, there was a big white space here, but on your interface, you see this welcome to your SQL workspace and get started, compose new query, all of this stuff. This is kind of just the home page that BigQuery has every time you load it. If you want to get to that white space that I had shown in the demo, you just click this plus button here or the untitled. And voila, here we go. We have our coding space. And as a reminder, if we wanted to write a note, we just do 2 dashes. Okay, cool. So this is where we write our code. This is where we write our code. You'll notice over here, this is where our data lives. So in the BigQuery public data, this is the project that has all of that free data that I keep talking about with Google BigQuery. We can see all of these little squares. The square means a data set. And you're like, oh my gosh, Candace, you're going over all this old vocabulary. Don't worry, we're going to touch on it in another video. This is just an introduction. If you click the drop down in the data set, then you'll see these little calculators. These are actually data tables. If you click on a data table, it will populate here. And this is giving you introduction to our schema, the data details, and then you can preview what the table looks like. If you want to get more space for your query writing, you can click this arrow here, and it's a toggle for Explorer, and that just pushes it away. So now I can see, oh wow, I can see all of this table. And then if I want to pull that back, I just click it here again. Another cool thing that Google BigQuery does is it lets you do split screens between multiple queries or multiple tables. So a lot of times how I like to code is I like to have my data tables on the right side of my screen, and then I write my query on the left. So if I click this little drop down here, I can do split tab to left, split tab to right. When I split it to the right, now I can see my data here, and I have where I write my code on the other side. And so that makes it easier for me to remember, what was this type of data? What am I looking at? All of these types of things. Okay, so that wraps up the introduction to getting started with Google BigQuery. If you had any troubles getting signed in or getting your account, I do have a troubleshooting video that will be not within the course, but as an appendix for extra. So if you had any struggles, or if you're on a Mac or you had some kind of capability things, take a look at that video, see if it resolves it for you. And if it doesn't, drop a comment on that troubleshooting video and I'll try to help you digitally. Okay, see you next time. Hope you found this video helpful. If you did, I would be so appreciative if you could like the video and subscribe to help me create more content for you. Thank you.